welcome to a whispered story collaboration of the ASMR Outlaws. Now, I am going to attempt to make up a story. The thing is, some of the ASMR Outlaws decided to create a never-ending story collaboration, and ASMR Duck was the first one to start the chain, and then she leaves a sentence open so I can continue the story the way I wish, and then the next person on the list will continue the story and so on. But I have not written down any of the story, so I'm gonna try and make this up as I go. So I believe her last sentence was the bandit opens the carriage door and sees the tailor's daughter, and he can't believe his eyes. So he opens the door, and I believe that's where we left off. I'm sorry if I don't exactly remember word by word, but I'll just try make this nice, okay? And they look at each other. She is absolutely petrified because this was the last thing that she would expect. Her first time possibly getting out of the house. She was about to go to a ball, and suddenly she's being robbed by a group of bandits. So this young strapping fellow stares at her and isn't sure what to do because he hasn't seen her before. He knows only that she is possibly the tailor's daughter, and he doesn't know her name because she doesn't have one. So the young strapping fellow tells the other bandits that the best idea is to take the carriage with the girl and everything in it. So the bandits make the carriage driver get off the carriage, and the young man, one of the bandits, the young strapping fellow who was the least horrible, he gets in the carriage with the girl and says he wants to keep an eye on her and make sure she doesn't try anything until they reach their destination. So the rest of the 4 bandits get on the front of the carriage and drive it, while the young man, who is also a bandit, and the girl are in the carriage, and they go to a hideout of the bandits where they keep all their stolen items and where they hide. It's a place deep in the forest. It's a small cabin that not many people know about, and on the outside it looks abandoned, but on the inside it's habitable, and that's where they live, the bandits live. So they arrive there, and in the carriage the girl hasn't spoken a word. She's terrified. She has no idea what's happening. She knows that these people are going to try to hurt her or get information from her or ask for money from her father to get her back. She is terrified and feels that the best thing she can do is keep quiet and not agitate the people who took her. So they reach their destination, and the young man tells her his name before they leave the carriage. He says to her that she's not going to be harmed if she doesn't put up a fight or threaten them or try to escape. And he ties her wrists so that she will look like a prisoner to the other bandits who are not so good. And then they lock her in one of the cabin's rooms, and he talks to the rest of the bandits and says that he believes she is the daughter of a very wealthy man, and because the carriage belongs to the Lord, he says to them that he believes that they can take money both from the Lord and from her father to make a better scam and make better money. But in order for that to work, they should not harm her at all, so that the Lord and her father will pay the most money, because he convinces them that if she's harmed, she won't be worth as much anymore. So the bandits agree, and he's very relieved for that, because he doesn't want the girl to be harmed. He's trying to play them to try to help her escape. Although he knows that in order for him to do that, to help her, he might endanger himself in the process. So a few hours later, when the bandits leave the cabin at dusk to go rob more places, he is left behind. He volunteers to be left behind so he can keep an eye on their prisoner. So he takes some food to the poor girl who is terrified, but she had placed her ear against the door when the young man was telling his scheme to the other bandits, and she understood, because she's very smart, she understood that he's trying to at least not have her harmed. She understands that he doesn't want anything bad to happen to her. So even though she knows that he's part of this bad group of people, she also knows that he's not a bad person, at least not as bad as they are. So when he takes the food to her and starts asking her questions, she's a bit more willing to speak to him. So she explains to him where she was going and who her father is. And she mentions the Lord's name, the Lord who invited her to the ball in the first place, and that indeed he's very wealthy. She asks the young man if she's going to be hurt, and he says, "No, you're not going to get hurt. I want to get you home safe, but at the same time, I don't want to let you go." And she's scared of him, because he is, after all, a bandit. He stole her from the carriage, and he doesn't look dangerous, but given the fact he's hanging out with those other bandits, he could be. She asks him to release her, and she says, "I know that you don't want me to get hurt. I want to go back to my father. I won't speak to anyone." The young man says to her, "Even though I do wish there was a way to just let you go, the bandits now know where you live, and they won't rest until they get their money. So the best thing we can do is keep faking that you're a prisoner, and that keep faking that you're a prisoner and that I'm not helping you in any way." So then he tells her his own plan to free her properly. She listens to every word he says, and